Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Craig Pera from themindfulhabit.com, and this is Sex Afflictions and Porn Addictions, a podcast to help you create healthy sexuality in your life and your relationships and live a purpose-driven life. So it has been a while, and that's what I want to talk about in this podcast. And what I want to talk about today is fear and the role that fear plays in our life. And why is that significant? Because it is a core driver of what we do. And what I want to talk about today is the habits around fear. How is fear manifesting itself in your life? And we all know we're afraid. We're afraid of being alone. We're afraid of being abandoned. We're afraid of not being good enough. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of success. So this is a core driver that has a massive influence on our actions. Now, let me just speak of the role that fear plays in my life. And this was a fun exercise for me. So listen, I do podcasts. People listen to my podcast. People like my podcast. Clients, people, some of you are listening. We work together because of this podcast. There's like so many amazing reasons for me to do it. And so I found myself, preparing. I find the article I want to talk about. I take some notes. I'd sit down, but you know what? I don't have enough science on this subject. I need to do more research. This isn't good enough. Let me develop this. Maybe I should use cut-ins from other videos to illustrate my point. Like a million reasons to not get it done. And here's what I noticed. I was ready to press record, like right where I am right now. I got to hit this record button, and that gets the party started. And as soon as I was ready to hit record, guess what? I had like 10 things that I needed to do. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh, I forgot to do that. So I scheduled time on my calendar again, get ready to do the podcast, and now it's March. Now it's April, and here we are in May. I haven't done a podcast since February. Why? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of not being liked. I'm afraid of this podcast not being good enough. I'm afraid of someone hearing this and saying, who the fuck is this guy? He doesn't know shit. This is bad. This is poor. And I have chosen not to let fear control my life, but you can't make that promise to yourself until you understand the role that fear plays in your life. So in this short podcast, notice I got to say it's short. I'm not going to talk for an hour. This isn't going to be good enough. No one wants a short podcast. Like these voices in our heads, you've got to really, really pay attention to them and listen to them. And over the course of the next few days, the exercise for you is to examine your fear habits. So when does that negative self-deprecating voice pop up? Under what circumstances? So me, I learned as soon as I grabbed the mouse, ready to hit record, there's like this repel. Not good enough. You should do it this way. You should do it that way. This isn't going to be the right thing. Go do that other thing first. And I kept putting it off and kept putting it off and kept putting it off. And then, a shout out to Chris in my group coaching program. He was doing an exercise on his trigger response plan. And for those of you who've listened to some of my other podcasts, the trigger response plan is your break a habit, make a habit in the moment response to your negative triggers and your thoughts. And he wrote down, this really isn't targeting my sexual triggers. It's really targeting my fear response. And I went ding, 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 ding. This guy gets it. And then a client the next day, we're talking about fear. Then on last night on our group coaching call, we're talking about fear. And I'm like, oh my God, I have got to talk about fear. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to pay attention to your triggers and your thoughts to the extent that they are creating a fear-based reaction. Because if you are going to counterbalance fear, you have to learn where it's showing up in your life so you can barrel through it, so you can counterbalance that biological fear that sits underneath the environmental programming. And that environmental programming goes back to our most formative years. We are afraid, and it is holding you back. How is it holding you back? Be very, very specific and answer that question. Fear is holding me back in the following very specific examples. Very specific examples. So that's assignment number one. Number two is, for those of you watching the video, I have holding up here a book by Dr. Robert Maurer, One Small Step Can Change Your Life, by Dr. Robert Maurer, The Kaizen Way to Success. I highly recommend the audible version of that book because it has some additional lectures that he doesn't have in the written copy, but both are phenomenal. It is I think my highest people ask me, what should I read? What should I read? This is it, because this is going to change you personally and it's going to change you professionally. It's going to change the way you approach goal setting. And this technique, this Kaizen technique, is one of my favorite things to teach. So here's what Kaizen is. Kaizen is Japanese for continuous improvement. There has been a groundswell of focus on people setting ridiculously attainable goals. So instead of, like maybe you've done in the past, you hit rock bottom, you're never going to do it again, I've got to do these 10, 15 things, and maybe you do those things for a few days, but they fade. Right? You're not able to sustain it. And the reason for that is because the goals weren't attainable. So Kaizen goal setting is one of the most powerful and effective ways to counterbalance fear. And the art of setting a Kaizen goal is, it has to be like ridiculously small. It's the whole, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Focus on that single step. And one of the most significant belief systems, one of the significant changes that I had, and it sounds so trivial, is when I embraced this principle that something is better than nothing. Because what would always happen, I'd set the goal, I'd do it for a few days, I'd fail in that goal, and then fuck it, Guy Pop, fuck it, don't do it. You can't do that, so do nothing. Well, if I can't run 2 miles, I can walk around the block. I can do 10 push-ups. I can do 25 jumping jacks. So Kaizen goal setting is turning the attainability component of SMART goal setting on its head. And just as a refresher, a SMART goal is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. We're focused on the third one. Number 3. Attainability. And Kaizen goal setting exploits that attainability piece by saying, hey, I know you want to go 10 steps. I know you want to go 10 miles. But you know what let's do right now? Let's focus on that single step. Let's focus on that one teeny, tiny thing. And I'll share with you a quick story, and then I will leave you to set some of your own ridiculously small, attainable goals that will move you towards, maybe not as quick as you would like, but will move you towards the life that you want to create for yourself. Setting a ridiculously attainable goal. So I've had 3 clients that have lost 100 pounds. 100 pounds. And 2 of those clients had done everything. They were on the brink of the surgery. They were going to get the surgery, and the sleeve or something like that. Whatever the surgery is for people when they get really, really heavy. And because they tried everything, I said, all right, let me come at this from a Kaizen perspective. And both of these guys were 2 of them were morbidly obese. The other one wasn't. And I said, put on your running shoes and your running shorts and go stand outside in front of your house for 60 seconds. I mean, can you imagine what a ridiculous assignment? like my credibility went, whoop, like, what the fuck is this guy telling me to do? But, well, one guy couldn't find his sneakers. The other guy hadn't put on a pair of shorts in months, if not longer than that. Didn't know where his athletic socks are. See, that standing outside for 60 seconds was overcoming that resistance to a pattern of failure that has existed over and over and over again. And obviously I'm sharing this story for a reason. Standing outside for a minute turned into some light stretching, turned in a walk down the end of the driveway, turned around a walk around the block, turned into, and literally this guy just completed a half marathon and lost 100 pounds. But there's nothing sexy about this. There's no, TV ads on, lose all this weight and, be your best self. Kaizen goal setting works because each step is a brick of sustainability. Each step is building that habit loop, one little itty bitty step at a time. And as you do one itty little bitty step at a time, you are laying a foundation for sustainability. So your assignment regarding Kaizen goals, I want you to think of something that you've been trying to accomplish, an area in your life where you need to make progress. And I want you to set goals that are so ridiculous, so silly. If you told somebody, they'd laugh. That's how you know it's an attainable goal. That's how you know it's a Kaizen goal. It is easy, so easy to obtain, ridiculously easy to obtain. And I teach mindfulness this way sometimes too, sitting there and breathing, like, give me a break. Like, that's hard, especially when that ADD mind is bouncing all over the place. I have guys start with 60 seconds. Let's start with 60 seconds. Can you sit for 60 seconds? Yes, I can. Is there ever a no? Hey, can you can't sit for 60 seconds? Well, then there's other conversations that we need to be having. But if you can sit and if you can't do 60, then you do 30. And you go down to 15 seconds. Then you go 5, you take 3 breaths. Start building this sustainability, these habits that are going to carry you long term. So set 3 mini habits and micro goals, 3 Kaizen goals to move you towards the life that you want to create for yourself. Feel free to come visit me on my website, www.themindfulhabit.com. I've got a free porn addiction quiz there. Also got some training for you there around the 4 transformational shifts that you must make to end your compulsive sexual behavior. So check those out. And obviously, if you need help and you are ready for action, go to the website, get my phone number, and call me. Look forward to talking to you if you are ready to take massive action. And if you're not, and you're still getting stuff, and you're getting stuff from this podcast, great. Keep doing whatever you need to do to be your life, to be your best self, because life is too short to suck.